Okay, Boker Tov, we're on Beis Amud Beis. On the bottom line. Vatem Yatem King. So the Mishnah ended off that the Goyim, they come with the victory of Osavadam and gave two examples about Goliath and about Shovach. But you're not like that. You're coming with Hashem. Hashem Elokeichem, Aleichem Lachem, Lachem Lachem. And the Mishnah ends off Zemachna Oron. That the means that the Oron came together with Am Yisrael. When they went to war, they brought the Oron also, which is interesting because the pasuk by the Plishtim, it's mashma that was a chiddush that took the Oron over there. It says that it never happened. The Plishtim said, "What is this? The Oron is coming." It sounds over there in the Sutah Shamikra that never happened. And here, the Gemara seems to say that always when they went to war, they did take the Oron along. So that's the kasha that they were showing the mask. So Kolkach Lama, that's interesting words. What does the word Kolkach Lama mean? Rashi says the Kolkach Lama means why does the pasuk say the word about HaHolech? Hashem Yimochem. What does it mean? Hashem Holech Yimochem. So the Pashut is that that's what the Mishnah is saying, that the Aron goes. Not only Hashem is with you, Hashem is coming with you. That means that the Aron is with you. But it does say in the Gemara, drop more, that the name of Hashem and all of its sub-names, like other names besides the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the Shem means Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and Kinuyav means the other names of Hashem, Elokim, Shakai, Tzvokos. So they're also in the Aron. So very interesting words. What does that mean? So the simple words seem to me that besides the luchos that were inside, and the Gemara Baba says also there was a Sefer Torah inside the Aron, and maybe there was also two Amudim of Kesek, but I forgot. But also there was a plaf of something that also had the names of Hashem, a new thing, never heard about it before. The Marsha says not like that. The Marsha said it means that the luchos is called the name of Hashem, but it's an interesting way to talk about the luchos that it has the name of Hashem. It has a lot of things. It has the Divros. But and you say that the cheshibus of the luchos is because it has the name of Hashem and all the kinuyim, and also doesn't have all the kinuyim. It has some kinuyim, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, but it doesn't say all the kinuyim. So that's the Pashut. The Gemara seems to say that besides the luchos, there also was shem the whole kinuyim, and some learn like that, not like the Marsha. Some learn that besides the luchos, there's also the names of Hashem. The names of Hashem were in the Aron. And that was the chashivas of the Kolkach Lama to take it to war, that the name of Hashem should be with them. Besides the Aron and the Kaporas and everything, but the fact that it had the names of Hashem, which is interesting and they're very good. The Gemara Baba Basra, when it says this, it's muchach that it doesn't mean there should be luchas kapara against the Marsha. But the Gemara talks about how you know that the luchas and the shivri luchas, and the Gemara says some say from this pasuk, some say from that pasuk, and the Gemara says you have to have one pasuk to tell you the shivri luchas and one pasuk to tell you that the name of Hashem was also there. So the Gemara Baba Basra, the Haftes Vav is the Chon Mashma and Perish that it doesn't refer to the luchos, not like the Marsha. It seems to refer to the names of Hashem. Same by the Choshen, the Adon Betumim, the name of Hashem. So also there was the name of Hashem in the Aron. Very big Kiddush, just one line in the Gemara. Kiddush. The Chenu Omer. The question is going to be what does it mean the Chenu Omer? If Chenu Omer is going on, we just said that means that we're going to bring a proof that the names of Hashem were in the Aron, and it's not going to bring that. So we'll come back in a second. It's talking about when they went to send Muhammad 12,000 soldiers to go to Midian, to conquer Midian. Over there it says 1,000 per shevet. Osam v'espinchas, yes, the prayer kodesh. That's the pasuk. Maybe just to highlight the pasuk. Vayishlach Osam. This is a pasuk over here. Osam v'espinchas. Kodesh, that's the pasuk. So the one says Moshe sent them 1,000 per shevet to the army, them and Pinchas and Kodesh. What does that mean? And Chatzos was Atua. So Osam is Sanhedrin. Osam is a Sanhedrin also went. That's what it sounds like. Sanhedrin also went. That's not what it means. But the Sanhedrin also went. And Nedin also went, I'm not sure. And Pinchas, Mashuach Muhammad, he was the Kohen who was in the Mashuach Muhammad for the war against Midian. The Kodesh, the Luchos Shabo, that's the Klei Kodesh that they took along. The Aron and the Luchos. Chatzos Satru Ela Shaforos. They also took along Shaforos to cry out to Hashem. Like it says, The question was, why is it shofar? Should be a chatzos, but that's the question we're spoken about. But interesting, what does the Gemara bring from this brayso? That they took the Aron and the luchos. If that's all it says, that they took the Aron and the luchos, that has nothing to do. What we said before, that the shame, the whole kinui, this Gemara, this pasuk, this brayso, this explanation doesn't explain proof that they had the name of Hashem and the Aron besides the luchos. It does says the Aron the luchos shabo. So that sounds like the Marsha, that the whole point that Shem Kinuyav is the Oren and the Luchos. But the Gemara Baba Basra says, come out to fair, not like the Marsha, that besides having the Luchos, Shavi Luchos, there also was the Shem Kinuyav. So I just have a suggestion that V'chein Omer is not going back on what we just said. V'chein Omer is going back on the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that they took the Oren along. That's the main point. The main point of the Mishnah is that they took the Oren along. Like it says, Alechi Mochem, that Hashem is with you, but he's actually with you. The Oren is going. And V'chein Omer here it says that they took along the Klei Kodesh, and it says that's the Oren. The first thing that the Gemara says, you should know that inside the Oren Kakach Lama, because they had the Shem B'chol Kinuyav, that L'chora is a Tosefet that the Gemara is not proving. Besides having the Luchos inside the Oren, they also have Shem B'chol Kinuyav, and the Gemara learns it out in Baba Basra in the pasuk in Shmuel that it says Hashenik Hashem Shem Hashem Tzavokos Yoshev Akuvim Allah. It says over there an extra ribuy to say that the name of Hashem was in the Oren, and that seems to be the pasuk shot over there. It's hard to budget over there, and here we'll say the same thing. And the V'chein Omer is going to be a continuation to the Mishnah, not on this one point that they had that the name of Hashem was inside the Aron.
I mean, the Luchot were written with Shem Hashem as well. No.
Yeah, but I just finished saying that the Moshe, that the Gemara Baba Basra says besides the Luchos, they also Hashem Hashem. It's pretty beferish. If you look at the Gemara Baba Basra over there, you've got it seems very beferish over there that you can't budge the Gemara. That it's talking about the Luchos, Shevei Luchos, and also Shem Hashem. So that's not like the Marsha over here, and they point out that there seems to be a machlokes about this point. The Gemara over there has come out beferish. Our Gemara maybe you could juggle with, but that Gemara seems to be beferish. If our Gemara means, like it says over there, that it was a Shem Hashem, the V'chein Omer doesn't prove that. The V'chein Omer is just saying that they took the Aron along. But the fact that it was a Shem Hashem, that's another point that's not proven in our Gemara. That they had in the Aron, they had also whatever you're going to say, a cloth that had the names of Hashem.
But those people who walk around with the Shaviti, with the Shem Hashem on top, it's pretty. It seems to be in line with this. Maybe not.
We're going to war. Only when we go to war.
Every day you go to war. The Yitzhak,
It's Tefillin. It's Tefillin. It's supposed to be the Shem Hashem. That's the Nikolach. Hashem doesn't want the Shem Hashem to be on every Jew. It's supposed to be Tefillin the whole day. Tana, lo l'china malach Pinchas to Melchama. We find that Melchama over there, the Pinchas went to the Melchama against Midian. So it says that it was a reason. There's a reason Pinchas was the one who went to the war against Midian. Because he was coming to pay back for his grandfather. Who's the grandfather of the great ancestor? Who's the ancestor of Pinchas? Shanam, it says it was Yosef. Shanam, that the Midianim were involved in selling Yosef to be a slave. So since Midian sold Yosef, so he was chosen to be able to revenge and go back against Midian. Of course, the Midian now was because the Benos Moab and Midian that they caused the Michshol for Am Yisrael. But the reason why Pinchas was chosen is because he had a personal issue to get back at the Midian because they sold Yosef. And that's what the Gemara wants to know. Where do you find that Pinchas comes from Yosef? Of course, Pinchas was a Kohen. His lineage is Levi. Pinchas, but on his mother's side. So where's his mother from? So the Gemara is going to talk about Pinchas' lineage on his mother's side. The name of the Pinchas Yosef, is that true that Pinchas on his mother's side came from Yosef? That Elazar, who is the father of Pinchas ben Elazar, ben Aaron. So who's Elazar's wife? That's what we want to know. That's the mother of Pinchas. So here it says Elazar married Benos Putiel. Who's Benos Putiel? Lo Lisha. What is Putiel? The Gemara thinks that Putiel is from Yisrael. My love does mean Yisrael Shapika Magalam Avodah. That the Gemara is actually the word Putiel. So it sounds like Mefatem, to fatten. And the reason why Yisrael is called Putiel is because he did Avodah Zarah before he became a ger. So he used to fatten calves to give to Avodah Zarah. So you see that Pinchas' mother was from Yisrael, not from Yosef. The Gemara says no, different reason why it's called Putiel. It's Yosef, not Yisrael. Lo, Yosef, Shepitpeit Yisrael. The word Putiel, Pitpeit is a lesson of anybody?
I don't know. I thought it was this space speaks light talk.
Pitpeit.
Pitpeit, now she says Zilzel, the kovash yourself, or something to fake lie. I don't know where it comes from. Pitpate is to
It's
Yeah.
maybe
That's just light talk. It's like
Maybe
not,
something
not
like-
chashuv.
if I
Right.
say.
Like
The
this.
top Rashi says pitpate means zilzel, the kovash yourself, didn't give it any significance to. So it means that he had a Yetzer Hara, but he didn't make a big deal. He told his Yetzer Hara, like take it easy. Like he wasn't impressed with his Yetzer Hara. That's what Rashi says the word pitpate. So, or if it means something else, it means that he was able to overcome his Yetzer Hara. Whatever the word means, but that's the reason why
So it has-
Putiel,
you laughed at his Yetzer Hara.
he what?
Laughed at his Yetzer Hara. That's a footnote.
Laughed?
Laugh.
I don't see that Rashi says that, but okay. That's the point. That is
That's the idea.
okay. That so
Great light.
according to this, the Gemara says that really the mother of Pinchas did come from Yosef. But the Gemara says we have a different Masorah. We have that he was from the descendants of Yisrael. Balo Shvatim of Azan so we said ben Puti said Pitem Avi Imo Agolim La Vodazara. I'm sorry, I have to stop. I'm listening to my mother.
Okay, good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning, everybody. How are you today?
Good. I mean,
I'm here, thank
That's
God.
great.
Isn't that very good?
What are we-
I always come in late, which is frustrating.
I mean,
Like,
I think you and your wife and the rest is from Israel. Done.
This is for us
Yeah.
and the rest.
It's my writing. It's Esther in the store next to the bank. It's her artwork.
It's her artwork, wise.
That's the way they have it.
What's the occasion?
Yeah, something like.
Oh, no, Yisrael.
Yisrael
birthday.
Yeah, so she, the back.
I have to remind my wife, she's gonna have a flower.
So, she preempted.
And then what is it?
That's for Israel. Israel. Something else, right?
Birthday gift.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sweet. I'm thoughtful.
if
No,
anyone
unlike
gets,
us. Thank you.
if anyone gets
You
hot,
doing it every time? It's not true.
get hot.
That's
My wife, for the help she gets.
That's the nature of things.
If anyone gets hot, then we're gonna.
Yeah, I'm hot.
It's water, just water.
I am hot, but
So please put it on. It's for
is that
everybody.
okay for everybody?
I'm fine. I just didn't want to waste the money, but if
So
you
you're
guys
right,
want
everything
to
okay?
go.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I was waiting for a phone call.
Thank you. Well, it's a snowflake. It says cool, no, it has the word
Cool is
cool,
good.
What's it set for?
22.5.
Yeah, well, you know.
Everybody's,
Okay.
comes the summer.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So the Gemara is talking about who was Pinchas's mother. The Gemara has the word Putiel, no
if it,
Putiel.
excuse me, if it was from Putiel, then that means it can't be from Yosef.
No, Putiel is Putiel. Who is Putiel? That's the question. So the
Okay.
choices are Yisro or Yosef.
I have a big
And
problem.
Yisrael, if it's, I'm sorry, if it's Yisro, then.
The
it's
Gemara
not
thinks
Yosef.
either
Oh,
Yisro or Yosef. The Gemara's going to answer, it could be both. But so far, the Gemara says either Yisro or Yosef. And here the Gemara is saying that Pinchas was from Yosef. That's why he went to fight against the Midianim to take revenge that they had sold him. And the Gemara says, no, he was from Yisro, so not from Yosef. Yes, Chaim.
Why do we call him Putiel? Because he's fattened, he's just Baal Tshuva.
He
He's
did
a-
tshuva,
So
yeah.
and it's saying
Why
here
is
that
it-
he came out of there. Look what he did. He used to do
Not let him
other
in
than
the
that.
sins.
It's saying in a good point maybe
That he controlled himself.
that he was able to overcome that.
Overcome that.
Whatever you want, but it's a nice kasha. Maybe that's a terrorist, maybe other tourists. But
Because
that's the
it
most
was-
kasha.
because it was, public knowledge,
Okay.
maybe.
No, why it's not a compliment that someone could overcome the evil inclination.
I think it's so wonderful to hear about tshuva. I mean, look at all the terrible things you did and look where you are today. That's beautiful. Would you be
That has-
happy to
that's
hear
the
that?
kasha.
It does have
Would
the.
you be happy to hear that?
Yeah, I am.
I have.
Okay.
The
Just the
divorce
point.
is not to do that, does
I
it?
am.
Yeah, if it depends if I think.
So he's saying because nobody knew it, and here knew about it
Maybe
already.
it
That's
was
the
maybe
answer.
with him because it was a
Okay.
public.
Just to point
figure.
out, again, this is a drash, and the Pashup Shot Putiel is a name. We don't know who he is. But here the Gemara is saying two possibilities, and the Gemara is going to say both of them are right. Anyway, the Gemara's kasha is, don't tell me that it's from Yosef, not from Yisrael. Then Shepitem Avi Morgal Mabodazor. Here the Gemara does say what the Yaakov is saying, that it's not they wasn't happy about it. And when Pinchas did kill what's his name?
Cosby,
What's the name?
Zimri.
Zimri ben Saul, because we also killed Zimri, and
Yeah.
Zimri was a Nasi. So who is he to kill the Nasi? Is somebody that his ancestor had fattened calves of Odazor, Yag Nasi Yisrael. Who's he to come and take? So you see that he was from Yisrael. I'm sorry.
It's an ancestor, it's
Ancestor.
not directly to
Not
him, I'm
direct,
saying
but-
you were.
No, not that you did it, but the ancestor. So that's also considered the greatest thing. Anyway, you see that according to this, it is a Masorah that he came from Yisrael. The answer is that his mother came from two, because she had a mother and a father. So one of Pinchas's mother's parents were from Yisrael, and one was from Yosef, and both of them are true. If his mother's father was from Yosef, then his mother's mother was from Yisrael, and the opposite.
If what?
There's a mother and a father. Yisrael's Pinchas's mother had a mother and a father.
Pinchas's mother had a mother and father.
One of them was from Yisrael, one of them was from Yosef. Which is which, we don't know. That's the answer. If the grandmother,
one
if
could
the
be-
mother,
oh,
if the
father, one could be from one.
Yosef, yeah, that's the answer. The question was if it could be both. It could be if the father of the mother was from Yosef, then the mother of the mother was from Yisrael.
Oh, I see.
The ime dime Yosef, then Avod dime Yisrael. If the mother's mother was from Yosef, then the mother's father was from Yisrael. Means you have both. Enochnam, you have both. Tekenami on the Drash level, there's also a connection and nuance over there. The Chsiv Mibenos Putiel. Very much, but the word benos, of course, you only married one wife, so it means he took from the daughters of Putiel. So in the Pshat, it means one of the daughters of Putiel. But the Morris Dashing has a Lashon Rabbim that says plural to tell you that there were a plurality of Putiel. There were two kinds of Putiels. There was a pitpate and there was a mefatim. Very much, you know that he came from both. One of that Gemara say in short that Pinchas was chosen to fight against Midian because he took revenge. He's going to take revenge for Yosef, who was sold by the Midian, because his ancestor was also from Yosef. Had to be from Yisrael also, but because of Yosef, that's why he was chosen to go to Midian.
That would mean that a descendant of Yosef married a descendant of Israel.
Yes, they were Mukhtanim.
Huh?
They were Mukhtanim, Yisrael and
And
Yosef.
Are Mechutanim. And then the daughter of that married
Elazar and had a son, Pinchas.
Beautiful.
Okay, the Gemara continues that on the Drush and the halachas about going back to Yorcham Muhammad. We're in the middle of it. We're going on a tangent now. We came in because of Bashur Muhammad brought Kodesh, and now we're dashing the whole issue about going to war. It says in the pasuk, "The Dibur Shotrim El Ha'am Leimor." Somebody that built a new house and did not yet live in it. The word chinuch is to start it. Like chinuch means starting education. So it means also to live in the house. He didn't start living in the house. He should go back home. And then it's going to say also, also somebody, if somebody planted a vineyard and did not yet use it, it means to have the fruit, to be able to have the fruit also goes back. And then it's also going to say, if somebody, what's the word, betrothed, a woman that did not yet take her, also he goes back. Three people go back. And this is what the Shofrim said. First, the Kohen Shulchan Chomer said, Shema Yisrael, you're going to war, Hashem is going to be with you, don't be scared.
Year of Erison, he doesn't go to.
That's what it says, he should go back home. But it does say that he goes to the border and then he sent home. That's the mission is going to say that he's going to be supplying, they'll be in the kitchen. There'll be still services. What do they call that? Like a jobnik or something like that? They call it that. He'll be doing things, not going to go to the front. Yeah, he shouldn't be.
He's not
Like
going
it does, something else. It means ben yeshiva. It doesn't mean he could be in combat and everything, but he's from the yeshiva. That's called a Banish. That's what he told me. That's what Machabisa said. No, you don't know what the word Banish means.
I never heard it in the order.
Yeah. My kids
We're
talk
all,
about it.
we're all Bnei Yeshiva. Our whole.
always been the issue.
The guys. Yeah.
We're saying though that the Cohen said it's not the Shofrim.
No, so the person says the Shotrim said it, and yesterday the Gemara said that the Kohen said it also. That's going to be the Gemara coming up.
Said it also. Oh,
Yeah,
we're gonna have it.
And the pasuk, just to jump to the pasuk a second. Where is the pasuk?
Dabru-
Here it says, here is the pasuk if you want to see the Dibur Shotrim.
The Dibru. Ashotrin El Ha'am.
The Shotrim said this. Mia Sheshenot the Kambalo Chilolo, Mia Sheshenot Shavalo.
So for sure they did say it.
So the Shotrim said it. The Pasuk says before that the Kohen said, Shema Yisrael, don't be scared, Hashem is with you. Then the Shotrim say these three things.
Okay.
Then it says again, just for Shotrim something else, that'll be the next thing. But so far it says the Shotrim say these three things. One by Chadash.
Okay, but it says yes for what
They say something else. Okay, we'll see. We'll see the next tomorrow.
Okay.
Back to us.
Mishnah.
The Shoshem speak to the people saying, who's the man who built a new house and did not yet use it, should go back home. What's considered a house? What's considered a new house? What's considered a house? A house first. It doesn't only mean he builds a house to live in, even if he builds also a storage room for straw, or for cattle, or for wood, or for storage.
Today it'd be a garage or,
Yeah,
what do you call it? It goes gag. And I just, what do you call those plastic ones you have in the roof here in the city? And
That's
if
a-
it's
that's
dollar
a-
al dollar, I guess.
Okay, so that's also considered a new house. It doesn't have to be after where he lives. And also, it doesn't mean only if he builds. No difference if he built it, or if he bought it, already built, or if he inherited it, or he was given to him as a present. It's also considered bana. So bana doesn't mean dafka built. Bayis doesn't only mean a house that you live in. It also means if it was these purposes of also, it's also considered living purposes, not for living, but it's for storage and animals and yes,
A warehouse.
a warehouse. The next person talked about
Really widening.
widening one.
Who's gonna go back?
Yeah, it's expanding more than this, more than the simple words. Now the next one is about planting a vineyard. The also goes back. So what is called a kerem? A kerem means a vineyard. Dafke grapes. Not only grapes, any kind of fruit trees. Even 5 different types of trees. It has to be 5 trees. That it says that a minimum vineyard is called 5 vines. It has to be 5. But it doesn't have to be after grapes. It could be also other kinds of fruit trees. And even if you have 5 different kinds of fruit trees, 1 apple tree, 1 orange tree, 1 pear, it doesn't have to be 5 of the same type. Doesn't mean after planting.
5 different ones?
Yes. Take out the hay. Take out the hay. If you have it, some don't have it. Take out the hay. Not haminin, not nothing with the 5 grains. Talking about trees over here. So it means even if you have 5 different types, that's also fine.
As long as it's called a carrot.
It's called a group of 5 trees. A group of 5 trees. Maybe it has to be a certain configuration. Right?
It's showing that a carrot is.
It has to be a certain configuration of 2, 2, and 1. But it has to be 5 fruit trees. After planting, there's also other kind, not after planting mamish from scratch, a sapling, but mavrich means that you take a vine that's existing already, a branch, and you put it on the ground and it comes up again. That's also comes up from the ground. That's also considered a new planting.
There's Marviv.
Mavrich.
On Markiv would be.
And Markiv means grafting. Grafting means that you cut a wedge into a tree and you put a new branch in and you bandage it until it takes hold. That's also considered a new tree and it goes back. That's the question of Orla here. That's true. And he's going to go back. He goes back. That's considered that he did these 5 trees and he put new branches for 5 trees. That's also going to be considered he planted and he goes back from the war.
Why do we have to have this configuration here, this diagram?
I think that's so good. It doesn't say it yet, but that's considered.
Oh, we didn't get to it yet?
I don't know if the was going to talk about it. It has to be by a vineyard. It's only considered a vineyard. Halachically, if it has this configuration, I guess that's what's normal. If you don't just make trees haphazardly. But I didn't see anything yet, so we'll see in the Gemara if it talks about it. Echad.
The issue is below chilolo. So, in other words, that it has the option of being Orla, or also people would.
So Orla is the regardless how it would have been. A new question? Nothing to do with the configuration.
Even in 1 tree is or.
No, nothing about the market.
Market and market. What do you see from that?
So I'm trying.
Does it still have to be
mean that it's only if it
is it totally an Orla?
in the situation that it's like Orla.
So I think the Gemara is going to have something about it. Not that that's the Gemara's issue, but it does say below chilul means that it did not yet come to the 4th year to eat. So you want to know if it will be a case where it would not have been Orla, would that be considered that he ate that it was chilul or not? Or it still has to be, is it dependent on being usher? That's what you want to know about Orla. So I don't know yet. I was going to say something about Orla together with this. I didn't figure out your issue yet. Maybe as we go along. Now it says Dafka if he planted, same as before. Not Dafka if he planted it himself, he bought it, or he inherited, or was given to him as a present also, same as before, buy a house.
These are for the trees.
Right.
Mhm.
Next subject about getting married. Not only if it's a virgin that he's marrying, even if it would have been a almana that she's already had been married already, and even if she's a shemeres yavam, means it was his brother's wife, and the brother died, and now she's zekuka yuad to him. So that's also that he's considered a state of erison, and he doesn't go. It goes back from the war. Even right now, that he just heard now that the news came that his brother died. Now his brother's wife is now skukat to him. So now he became a shemeres yavam also. He goes back. All these cases he goes back. So it explained the three parashas about building a house, planting a vineyard, and marrying a woman. Marrying means
I
betrothing.
thought the marrying a woman, the halacha was that it was only as if it's a pursuit of first marriage.
Why do you think so? It says
don't
not
know.
like that.
Yeah, never know. I thought
What
that's
the
what
pasuk
we
say?
learned.
What's with the kosher?
Here's the pasuk on the screen over here.
Like Yaakov, it says Isha, it doesn't say, it says in general.
Why should we think Dafka? And the Mishnah comes to say
I
not
thought I learned
Dafka
that
Basur.
Not
I'm
just
not
the
sure.
I thought that's the way I learned.
I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure why you
It's
were.
getting mixed up in the Kohen Gadol. That was last week's parsha, the Kohen Gadol.
Okay, call Elu. Yeah, call Elu. Well, something's wrong here. I didn't see that's the gears over here. What's this?
It's a solid. Call Elu Shomim.
Take out the word Elu. It's a mistake. This word Elu should be a mistake. Call Elu.
Where is it?
Take
Yeah,
out-
take this one in.
Take out that. Call Elu Shomin Dibri Kohen Maracham Ochama B'Chozin U'Masapkin Ma'im U'Mozin U'Masapkin Esadrachim. All the above, they listen to the Kohen, means they go with the rest of the army, and they hear the words of the Kohen from the Ocham Ochama. The Kohen is the one who was announcing all this. We're going to see
Ma'aches means
from the battle arrangement, from the
Right, yeah.
formation, from the formation,
Oh, the formation.
and they go back, but they don't go back home. They go back and they supply water and food, and they fix the roads, whatever else the army needs besides fighting.
Oh,
They
interesting.
don't go to combat, but they do
They
help the
take
army.
non-combat work.
Non-combat. Okay, that's good. Now the following is a new list. No, not so. This is saying that, and we said we expanded the Pashup shop more than just building a house, more than the. But now there are some that are not expanded, they're not included, and they have no ptor. No, how do you say no ptor? No,
They're not exempt.
no exemption. No exemption.
No exemption.
No exemption. The following have to go to war. Yeah, he built something, but not enough. If he built some kind of a room that's not used for,
It has a room, I thought like that's like.
It's
it might be a
Like an
room, but it's
opening.
like a hallway. It's only a way to get into, only an entrance. Rashi says at the bottom of the page, around the bottom of the second column, Rashi says they're made for walking through, not made to live in them.
Uh-huh.
And Achsadra is also going to be, it's not made to live. Other ones, what?
The gazebo, I think that's true.
Gazebo.
Gazebo.
And it's not a, now it doesn't have to be living mamish. You said before that even storage in a warehouse is also going to be enough. But this is just made to walk through. Achsadra maybe to sit. You have an open place. That's not considered enough of a living quarter. But Pesach,
Patio.
good. So that's not enough. How about trees? Also, not everybody's exempt. And if it's only 40, you have to have at least 5 trees. Even vineyard, even grapes also, only 4 is not considered a kerem, only 5. So if you did 4, then it's not considered going back. It doesn't go back to that. And chamisha lanisrak, non-tree fruit-bearing trees. So that doesn't make a difference how many he planted. Even many trees, if it's not fruit trees, then he doesn't go back. And how about by a wife? That's not considered an exemption. Amach says Kushasa, he took back his old wife. So that's not considered a new wife. It says for that he doesn't go back. So even though it says that other ones are almana, somebody else's, but it's his first time with this woman. But if he had already with this woman, then it's not considered a ptor to go back from the war. The famous list of those that are not allowed to marry. It's us of him to marry her. So that's
So that's not counted.
so that's not, he doesn't get a ptor. Rashi says a drash. I don't see the Gemara yet. But my Chavrusa said the first job would be because it says the lo lekacha, that he betrothed her, he didn't take her, but he's not supposed to take her, he's supposed to divorce her. So there can't be a reason that maybe somebody else is going to take her. He's not supposed to take her. But Rashi does say there's a drasha coming up. So all these lo hayachose, these people they go to war, these are not considered exempt. What if somebody had a house, he took it apart, built it up again? Same way it was before. Rashi says he didn't make any additions. If he made additions, it could be yes. But if he just built up to what it was before, it's like Masik Grushasa. So even though it's back, but he had it before, it's not considered new, and he doesn't go back to that.
That house fell down or something?
Oh, he took it down, he took it apart, built it again. It's the same as it was before, he doesn't go back. So in Sharon, over there, the earth that's there is not so good for bricks. If they make bricks out of Sharon, in the area of Sharon, so those bricks don't last very long. Rashi says the Gemara is going to say that you have to build it again twice every 7 years. Like it lasts probably 3 or 4 years or less. So that's not enough of a chashav house to be able to go back.
Low was there just means it doesn't go back.
He doesn't go back from war. That's not enough of a house. It's not a chashav house that it should be able to go back from the war for that. He built a house. It's not a chashav house. It's a 3.5 year house. It's not anything that's considered significant.
And the Rebbe Yehuda, which was which one?
He spoke
What does
about
Mechonel mean?
the way it was before.
Oh.
In the same place, same that it was. Now is very interesting that it says we just read now Parsha Shoftim, this whole Perek Chav. It talks about these 3 people that they go back from the war. Now there's another pasuk that is in Perek what? Of Dalet? No, where's that? Chav Dalet pasuk K. Here it is, and so we're jumping into Parshas Kiseitze, a different pasuk. Ki yikach ish isha chadasha lo yitzei batzavo v'lo yavo lo v'chol davar. Now ki yala v'yisor shana achas v'simach es isha asher lakach. If a man takes a new woman and a wife, he shouldn't go to the army, and nothing should pass over him. No responsibilities. He should be clear for his household for 1 year, and he should gladden the wife that he took.
Well, maybe that's what I was thinking.
But I don't
As
think
opposed to marrying an almanah.
no, I don't think so. I think here it's also going to apply to Almana also. But here the point is,
okay.
here the point is that he married her. There's the Erisin and then the Nisuin. So the Erisin is the parsha before that he just took her, and there it says that maybe he's going to die and he's not going to be able to take her, he's not going to be able to marry her. Here he married her. So you might think if he married her, fine, he married her, everything's good. Yes, great. It's so great that he has to have a year off. So this is even a bigger exemption. The first exemption was that he didn't go to the combat, but he was enlisted in non-combat. And here he doesn't even go to non-combat. Here he stays home. So that's what the Gemara is going to say. And very interesting, the pasuk before talk about 3 people building a house and a vineyard and a wife. And here it only says a wife. So you might think the special Torah of a complete exemption is only for taking a wife. And the Gemara is going to dash, it applies also to the house and to the vineyard, that if he moved into the house, if he didn't move into the house yet, and again, that if he didn't move into the house, so then he non-combat. But if he moved into the house, and for the first year he's part for the whole year, moved into a new house, the whole year he doesn't even go to the non-combat. And also by the vineyard, if he did take part of the fruit, means it's already the 4th year, and he's eating the fruit, so then he gets the whole year. The whole year he doesn't go to war at all. Full exemption. And I wouldn't have seen that in the pasuk. The pasuk only talks about a wife. Here goes the Gemara. Where is that? It says in the pasuk. In the following list, they don't even go out of the house. They don't even go to the border and then come back again and supply. They don't move. They stay at home. Not to camp and I know say so. It wasn't already also. If someone built a house and he did move in, for the first year, and he planted a vineyard and he did partake of the fruit in the 4th year, and he married his Avrusa that he actually did Nisuin, and also throws in also even Yavama, that now he married the Yavama as long as he was a Skuka, so then it was the non-combat. But once he married her, so then also it's his wife, and for the whole year he's partner. Shenema, Nakia Lebeso, Shana Achas, and even though the pasuk only talks about a wife, The Gemara is going to dash that it says many things in the pasuk. We're going to dash, and the pasuk is talking about not only the wife but also the house and the vineyard. Not kiliya besa shana achas lebeso. Ze beso yiyeh ze kamo. Let's see mechasishto.
That's
the house. The literal house means in the pasuk you don't learn like that. Nokia lebeso shana achas pashta means he should be clear for his household, which means his wife. It's pashta in the pasuk. But the Gemara is not saying about a house. For building a house, nothing to do with a wife. He doesn't have a wife. Well, he married her a long time ago. But if he built a house, that's also a reason that he should be Naki. And Yihya, the extra word is to saying the Kerem also that if he partook of the Kerem, he's the first year of eating the Kerem, the fourth year, I'm sorry, is going to be also pater from all service. And Zima Chasishta, that's the Pashup Shah, Zuishto. Then it says,
Simach es ishto is part of the.
That's the pasuk. Nakia lebeso shenachas v'simachas ishto asher lakach. So we're darshaning lebeso house, Yiyah the kerem, simachas ishto his wife, and asher lakach is going to be an extra riboy lavi yasivimto. That even the Avrohom that he married also is pater for the whole year, and they don't have any responsibilities. Ein misapkin mayim u'mazon ve'im kaknas Avrohom. They don't even supply food and water and food, and they don't fix the roads, they stay home completely. So back to the pasuk that, yes? No? The pasuk sounded like the Shotrim are the one who says this. That's what the pasuk says, back to Perek Chav. It says that the Kohen is the one who says, Shema Yisrael, don't be scared, if I was with you. And the Shotrim are the ones who say, but the Gemara is going to say that it doesn't mean only the Shotrim. Here goes the Gemara. So I wouldn't know what the words mean, but Rashi says, you might think that this is only what they say. And the Kohen did not say this, which is a Pashup Shah. But Kishomer, the Yosua Shotrim, later on the Pasuk is going to say Yosua Shotrim, and it says that they say, if you look at the Pasuk here, Pasuk Hey, Vav, and Zion, that's what it said, the three things about Miya'ish, if he built a house, if he did a vineyard, if he married a woman. But then it says in Pasuk Ches, the children should continue speaking to the people, and they should say, if somebody is scared, soft-hearted, he can go back home and he shouldn't melt the heart of his brothers like his own heart. So in Pashup Shad, everything closed. It is a little interesting that it says they should add. They said it already. They should say miya'ish. Should say another miya'ish, but it says they should add on, continue saying. So that the Gemara is going to say that there's a difference between the first thing that they spoke and the second thing that they spoke. This one, the Yosfa Shotrim, is only the Shotrim. But the one that says the Dibra Shotrim is going to be that they're repeating what the Kohen says, and that's going to be a chiddush that the Mashiach Muhammad says this thing first. And the Gemara is going to differentiate between the one who says it and then they repeat it like a loudspeaker and they are mashmiya. So it comes out of chiddush, not the Pashup Shad, that the first thing is only the Kohen says. The second thing the Kohen says and the Shotrim announce, and the third thing the Shoter says and announces. And the way the Rambam explains, there's always two people talking. There's always the one who says it and then the one who announces it loudly. And even the first one is going to be Kohen Mashuach Muhammad, and then another Kohen, not the Mashuach Muhammad, is the one who announces it, which I wouldn't have seen in the Gemara so much, but that's what the Rambam says. So into the Gemara, Tanur Rabbana Shotrim, Dibra Shotrim, you would have thought that say it for the first time. They say only by themselves. No, it says Yosha Shotrim. They're talking about things that the Shotrim said on their own without anybody telling it first. Amani Mekaim, the Dibra Shotrim. What's the case where it says in the pasuk the three things that the Shotrim speak? They say over what the Mashiach Muhammad said. So there are going to be three categories. And here, okay, son. What are the three categories? Okay, son. Kohen, Daber, Vishoter Mashmiya. I didn't get to it yet. Kohen Daber, Vishoter Mashmiya. The middle category where it says the three miya'ish about the house, the vineyard, and the woman. So over there, the Kohen says it first. The Kohen Mashiach Muhammad says it first, and then the Shotrim announce it. They just announce what the Kohen said. Period. Now he says three different prices. Tani Chada, Kohen Medaber v'Shotrim Mashmiya. Tani Yidach, Kohen Medaber v'Kohen Mashmiya. Tani Yidach, Shotrim Medaber v'Shotrim Mashmiya. Three contradicting prices. The Torah. That one says that the Kohen speaks first, and then the Shoter is the one who announces it. Another one says that the Kohen speaks and the Kohen announces it. And one says that the Shoter speaks and the Shoter announces it. So they're all contradicting. On Ravaya, it's three different cases, three different parshiyos. Okay, son. Benigash, let us put it on the screen first for a second. Here's Benigash. Benigash, that's the first parsha. The first parsha is the Kohen comes and he says about Shema Yisrael, don't be scared, Hashem is with you. That the Kohen says, the Kohen Meshach Chochama says, and the Kohen repeats it. The second part is the Dibru until the Yosfu, and that's going to be that the Kohen says it, and the Shoter announces it. And the third parsha is Yosfu is going to be that the Shoter says it and the Shoter announces it. Those are the three categories. Amar Abaye,
What is there? Vinagash, it means to approach.
approach, yes.
Mhm.
The Kohen should approach. Okay, so it's interesting. The Rambam says to make a big flat. It's the Makom Gavola. He stands on a high place. Interesting. I don't know where the Rambam got it from. The Kohen goes onto a high place to speak when he speaks to the people. It's practical, but the Rambam makes a issue of that he goes to a high place. Okay, so Mivinigash Va'ad the Dibru, then Kohen Medaba Kohen Mashmir. That's the first thing about Shema Yisrael. Don't be scared. Hashem is with you. The Kohen Meshach Chochama says it, and a different Kohen announces it. I didn't know that from the Gemara. Could it be the same person? It says no. That the Kohen Meshach says it, and then a different Kohen, is going to announce it. The second thing about the 3 Ish, about the house, the vineyard and the woman, over there, the Kohen also, the Kohen Meshach Chochama says it also, but Shoter is the one who announces it. And the last category, maybe Yasmu Be'elech, Shoter Medaber V'Shoter Mashmiya. At the end, where he says whoever's scared, they should go home. That is the Shoter announces, the Shoter says it, and the Shoter announces it. It says in the Mishnah, and it's going to say drushes for everything we said in the Mishnah before. We said the Mishnah doesn't mean that house for living, it could be also a storehouse, not that could be bought. The Gemara is going to say drushes for all these things. Ashabana. It says in the pasuk, Ashabana. You might think literally, Ashabana. Only if he built. How about Lakach, Yavash, if he bought it, he inherited it, he got it for a present. Period.
That's the end of the verse.
That's the brisa that the Mia Ish is the reboy to say that not only building, even if he bought it or inherited it or got it as a present. The next pasuk says, Ashabana Bayis. And the other Bayis, Menayin the rabbis based at heaven, based at Boka, based and based at Zovas. How do you know to include also barn, house for the cattle, a woodshed, warehouse. Tamaloma Ashabana Mikol Mokom. The word Ashabana, if it said Bayis, would it mean only house? It says Ashabana to be married by other kinds of houses also. You might think that even other kinds of rooms that are not made for living at all, not even for storage, just for a corridor passing by. Talmud Loma bias. It does say bias. That's a connect. That's something similar to a house, but not mamish a house. Doesn't have to be a mamish where you live, but it has to be similar. So you learn out that things that also hold either your animals or your property, that's also included. But if it doesn't, it's just a room, but it doesn't have the purpose of living in any way, so then it's not included. Has to be right. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Omer buys kamashmo. He seems to argue. He says no, buys kamashmo. He argues and he says Dafka, a house where you live in, and he doesn't agree to Beis HaTev, even though before we were marked between the word Hashabana, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov doesn't seem to agree. And that's a period. And then we start the next sugya about Lo Chanacho. It says in the pasuk Lo Chanach, Lo Chanacho. It says Hashabana buys Chadash, Lo Chanacho. That should be probably Lo Chanacho. That's also the pasuk with Ashening. That it could have said Lo Chanach, but it says Lo Chanacho. That's coming also to teach you something, Pratla Gazlan, that if somebody did steal the house, that's not enough. I mean, different ways to acquire a house. You could build it, you could buy it, you could inherit it, you could get a present, you could steal it also. How about if someone stole the house? It's not going to be nice potter. So he says, no, that's not a reason to be potter. It's not called that
needs to dedicate.
To live in it. Start living in it.
To live in
to
it.
start living in it. To start using it. So yeah, start living in it. That comes from this. Yeah, you start using it. You start using the house. We talk about chinuch, education. So chinuch really means to train him, to get him used to start doing what he's supposed to do. That's called chinuch. I think that's a literal translation. But here it says that if somebody, the pasuk has an extra verb to say dafka it. It means it and not something else. So it seems to be maybe I can't know How you see
Vav
that
at the end,
but it means Chanacho, the extra vav. They could have said Lo Chanach, and it says Lo Chanacho is to teach you Dafke it, the thing we're talking about, and it comes to exclude something. It comes to exclude that if it was in his house, somebody else's house, that's not enough to be putter because he got a new house. He stole a new house. The Mazakasha, if he stole the house, forget about the fact that it's his house or not. He did Avera, and maybe Avarian also goes back, and that's going to be the question in the pasuk. The pasuk says that somebody who's scared should go back. Pasuk shot, if he's scared, he sees war, he's scared. So we say go back. Don't bring down the morale of everybody if you're scared. But the Gemara says, he learns that the pasuk means if he's scared of Avera, means an Avarian, someone who's a sinner, should go back for more. It has to be somebody that's not scared of sins. That if he has sins, he should go back. So a Gazlan, forget about the fact if he has a house or not. He shouldn't go to the war. He was saying he should go to the war. We said that this person who stole the house, he has no exemption because of having a new house. But he should be exempt because he's a sinner. A sinner also is exempt.
Because he's scared.
He should be scared. It means we learn that somebody that has sins, he has to be not scared of the sins that he has. If he's a Gazlan, so he doesn't get an exemption because of having a new house, but he should be exempt and even pushed away because he does sins. The Gemara says no.
Because in other words, someone who has sins
does
won't
not
be
good.
Matzliach in the war.
And we don't want him to be there. He's
Yeah.
not supposed to go.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the kasha. Here he sounds like he does go to war. He shouldn't go to war. I feel with him, I could say even opposed to him also, he going to Abba Tshuva, the Yav Demei, that he stole it, then he did Tshuva and he paid for it, and the owner was happy with the payment. He's fine to say that. If he just forced him to take the money, it's also not good enough because that's called the chamsin. You're not allowed to force somebody to sell either.
Right.
But he was happy. The owner was happy. He stole it. He took the money. Taka was looking for a buyer, and is so mitzad the sin. He's not a sinner, but mitzad the fact that he has a new house, he can't say he has a new house because he stole it. The Maskashi didn't steal it. If he bought it, say he's not a Gazlan anymore. He bought it. The answer is since originally it came to his hands through Geneva, even though now he did buy it, but since it came to him with Geneva, so he's not potter. Only if he got it by the sale, if he got it with stealing, even though then he corrected it, it doesn't take away that he did get it with Gzela, and therefore he's no part of a new house.
What's the punctuation of Kevan?
Even the Mekar Batos Gzela Asaliyade. No, since originally it came to his hands through Geneva, with Gzela, so that's not included in the pasuk that gives an exemption. Next sugya, Omer Yesh Shana to Kerem. So if he, the bishop says all these other expansions of the Ptur, not only actual vineyard, even if it will be other trees, then it's going to, and also he's going to plant it, he bought it. So the Gemara is going to say the same thing as the Mishnah, and it's going to have the Drush. It says in the pasuk, Asher Notah. Who's the man who planted? And the Elanota, that's only if he planted. How do you know even if he bought it? He bought the vineyard, he inherited it, he got it as a present. That coming to be marba, even if he and
Why does Mihayish? How does that help?
the sexual words that not only there's more people, not only the actual Ashanota, somebody besides that is also
okay,
called it's an extra word. Then it says Asher Nota Kerem. Again, in the other Kerem, what is that Kerem alone? Then he would have said Afka vineyard, grapes. How about other kinds of fruit? Even from different types, not only grapes and maybe even different types themselves, like the Mishnah says, the word Ashanata says more than just the actual kerem, even different types of fruit also. How about only 4 trees? How about if it's less than 5 trees, or it's 5 trees, but they're not fruit trees? And it has to be somewhat similar to a kerem. So I'm putting a period over here, but this period we'll see. Maybe we're not sure about this period. We'll come back to this period over here. This period is not so simple. Simple pshat will be a period, and then the brisa continues, and it says below chilalo, and same. Right, it could have said lo chilel, but it says lo chilalo. So before that we had by the house, we said lo chanacho, we said about a ganav. Here's a similar drasha, but it doesn't say about a ganav. Prat Avrohom markiv, that dafka it coming to be ma'id something, that the extra vav at the end of the word. So it's coming to exclude that if somebody Avrohom markiv, we said means that he maybe comes to the word berech, like in Neil, that he took the vine and he put it on the ground and he brought it up again. The middle of the vine was buried. and that's considered a new tree? No, it's not considered a new tree. Pratam Avrohom market. Market also means grafting, and here the Brisa says that it's not going to be a ptor. If somebody is not market, he's not considered a new tree. And the Gemara goes on to Akasha that this end of the Brisa doesn't fit with our Mishnah, because our Mishnah said that Marvich market was also potter. So a contradiction about Marvich market. The whole Brisa went well, but this last point that says Marvich market is not exempt, it's against the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that Marvich market is also exempt. All of them are exempt. Now it's going to be two terutzim over here. So just it's going to be a lot of. There's going to be a chizda. There's going to be one teretz, and then there's going to be a long parentheses. No, also not. Then there's going to be, after all that, there's going to be a Rabbi Yochanan. So there can be two terutzim in the Gemara. As far as I saw, there's two terutzim coming up. In between, the Gasher of Dim Yam Rabbi Yochanan. So there are two terutzim in the Gemara, and in between we have about 20 lines of a side issue, 25. Pretty right?
Like you call it a side bonus, right?
I'm not sure. Here, bonus sometimes is like not going up to a cruise, something like that. But here it's going to be in the sugya, but it goes on a tangent of what the sugya is. It's in the sugya. It's necessary for his answer. It's a necessary part of the answer. But the two terutzim how to explain the price. Again, there was a contradiction. Our mission said that Mavrik Markiv is exempt, and the price said that Mavrik Markiv is not exempt. So we're going to have two terutzim. If it's okay, just to do the two terutzim, and then we'll come back to the parentheses with the side problems. Amar Chisda, lo kasha, not a contradiction. The Mishnah and the Brisa.
What was the question?
The question was Mavrik and Markiv. Is that Ptor? Is he?
That's
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Archim Macham to go back to the war.
The Rabbi Zera, right?
Rabbi Zera, yeah, you want that also? You're right. That we should
Well, I'm
give.
just saying.
Yes, we should give the honor. Rabbi Zera, Rabbi Chisda, that's one teretz. And Rabbi Yochanan is another teretz. So the first teretz is, again, the kasha was contradiction of Mishnah and the Brisa, Mavrik and Markiv. Does he go back to Merach HaMucham? Rabbi Zera, Rabbi Chisda, lo kasha, kan b'kavas issa, kan b'kavas etta. There's ways that you could graft in a prohibited way, and there's ways that you can graft in a permitted way. If you did it in a prohibited way, it doesn't go back. That's what the Brisa means. That the chilulot, similar to Gazlan, like the Issa, before same we said by a house. If you did it in an Issa way, that's here also. If you did it in an Issa that he planted, but you could say also other ways of planting in Issa. He stole whatever it's going to be. But here's a case of planting in a prohibited way because he did on a cover that you're not allowed to do. The Gemara is going to go into the parentheses. What's the case of a cover that you're not allowed to do? And a cover set means that he grafted, but there's no prohibition involved. So that's okay. And that's considered planting. And he would go back. That's a teretz. Nice teretz. We have just a lot of details to figure out what's a cover system, what's a cover setter. If we jump a second, just to go to the next teretz, about 25 lines. Means I have to go back and take away my period. I made a period over there. I said that's a questionable period. This one I have to Kamashmo. The lesbian Yaakov said a second ago, Kerem Kamashmo. Don't tell me about the other things that you marble over here. He said other kinds of fruit trees, not only a Kerem. He says no, Dafka Kerem. And according to this, he's going to take away the period. And if Elizabeth Yaakov is still talking, take away the. Why is he not letting me do that? Yeah, here it is. Takes away this period. And lo chilo pratam Avrohom markiv. That Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says Kerem Kamashmo, and he says that Avrohom markiv not. He's argues on the Mishnah, and it's not Kamachlokus. So it's a question how to read the end of the Brisa. Is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov talking? Then not a contradiction. It's a Machlokus. But if you want to say that it goes according to the Tana, of our Mishnah, so then you have to reconcile, and that's what Rav Chisda said. Hakavas is hakavas heter. This will be the Gemara Kiasar of Dim Rabbi Yochanan. That the answer is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is talking. Lo Hamay Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is continuation of the word before. Lo Amar Rabbi that's didn't lo Amar Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Hasam Kem Kamashmo Achanami Neta Kamashmo. Just like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov darshan that Kerem Dafka not other kinds of fruit. Here too, when it says Nota it's Dafka Nota and not Mavach Markiv Notea in Mavach Markiv lo. The end of the sugya for today. We'll stop over here, but we're still going to go back today. We have time. Yeah, we have time. So we're going to go back and do the whole parentheses, Bez Hashem. But we finished the sugya with the two terutzim. End of the day. Now we go back to figure out what is this thing about a kavas heter, a kavas issa. What kind of grafting is mutter? What kind of grafting is asa? What's the case that he did a permissible grafting? Yalda means a young sapling, which means within 3 years old, and skena means it's already more than 3 years old. The first 3 years is orla, after that it's not. So if he grafted a new sapling into a young tree, which is less than 3 years old, typically the boy had the mishum yalda rishona. If he just recently planted it, so he goes back anyway, because the first tree that was there is less than 3 years old, so he doesn't go to the war because it's within the 3 years.
So it can't be the case.
Within the 3 years, because lo chilalo, it's not only one year. And when he plants a tree, it's not only for 1 year. It's the 3 years. So for 3 years, he's going to be he'll be exempt from combat. So if the case is that he grafted it into a pre-existing tree, which is less than 3 years old, anyway, he's going back.
It's not the
What
case.
did you say before about the orla?
I want to know if the whole issue is because he has to finish with the oral before going to it.
And if he doesn't have to finish with the orla, then he would be considered the person who's a chilul. He's the person who is pater for a year. That will be how it goes. If it's within all the years, 3 years is pater. And then the 4th year is going to be pater because he's eating it for a year. So if there's no orla, so then he'd be pater as if he's already, wouldn't even go out to Arkim Muhammad then maybe. Then he would be home.
So it's no chilul, so I'm thinking,
And then we have chilul. So we were taught the pasuk like chilul.
Chilul means he starts eating.
Yeah, it's eating the 4th
after
year.
the fourth-
Right,
in the
they're
fourth
in the
year.
4th year. So it comes out, the Pasuk you would think that without the Gemara, the Mishnah later on that says that Chilul gets the whole year of tour, not even to go to non-combat, he stays home. But now we know that, so that's what would happen, that if it's a tree which is an orla, so then he does non-combat. And if it's first year of eating it, even if he didn't have to have orla maybe, also he'd, whatever the case would be, so then he's part of the first year of eating it. I think, I don't know. So here the Gemara's kasha is what would you call the first one? A mother tree? What would you call the bottom one? You're grafting into a tree. You have a branch into an old tree.
Planted.
Into a pre-existing tree. So if the first tree is within orla, so he's not going to war anyway, because the other tree that he had. So that's not going to be a case of a kavaseta that's pater, because he's pater anyway. Ella yalda b'skein. It must be that the first tree that he's grafting into is already an old tree. And let's say it's ready the 5th year, the 6th year. It's an old tree, and he planted it. And you want to say that he's pater now, because it's mutter, and he should, what? It's a new tree, and he should not go to war, because he planted a new tree. But it's not true. It becomes bottled to the mother tree, and even though it's a new branch, but since the skein is really not chayv and orla, so the branch becomes like the mother tree. I'm not sure if that's what you call it. And it's not considered orla. If it's not considered orla, so it's not considered a new tree. And he should, what do you want to say? So maybe it's considered that he's eating a new tree. I think that's what you want. That was what you were saying.
That it's not a tree.
What? You see, the one wants it's not a new tree at all, and he has no exemption. He has no exemption. It becomes bottled to the mother tree, and he's not pater at all. Tree shouldn't be exempt.
I didn't get what Sivka is. Did he do
So
something?
he grafted it on. He grafted it on.
I have entangled.
But it means that's how you graft. You graft it in, you put it in, and you bandage it until it gets entangled. That's another way of saying grafting.
But he did it.
Yeah, he did it.
So, but what's the point then?
That he does, is it all of this new branch? Is a new branch. The branch is a new branch. The tree is an old tree.
Oh, and Rabbi Avrohom
Avrohom says that it doesn't have it in all, it loses its identity.
It
It
loses
becomes
that
like,
going to become like the old tree.
right. So one thinks it shouldn't be either a ptor from the war, because it's nothing, even though it's true, it's a new branch, very nice, and you have fruit, you're allowed to eat it, but it's not considered its own identity. So you
Because
shouldn't go for it.
the nourishment is from an old tree, so it's an old tree.
It's considered an old tree.
It's considered an old tree. Okay, great.
So that's the kasha. How do you
So
have,
that's a kasha. We don't know how grafting would work.
right, what would be the case of grafting a heter that he has a ptor? So we're still explaining this teretz. Yeah, it's a new tree. So the question was, if it's a young tree, the mother tree is a young tree within 3 years, he's not going to war anyway.
Yeah.
I'll give you a case where the bottom tree, the mother tree didn't pater him, even though it's within 3 years. The bottom tree the mother tree was planted not for fruit. It is a fruit tree, but he was interested in making a fence out of it. He needed a tree in order to make a fence, or he needed the beams, he needed it for the wood, even though it's a fruit tree, but that's not enough that he should
They go from the army.
take off from the
Because he
army
was gonna
because it's
use
not
it.
Chayv and Orla. He was
It
using it
was
for
like
wood.
an olive tree and he was gonna use it to make these, the Omer things.
Yeah,
For
olive wood,
He was
olive
using it for
wood.
his olive.
He doesn't want the olive wood. So he's not, so that's not, it's not Chayv and Orla, it says. And therefore, the more puts it together, he wouldn't be exempt from the army. If not, on the tail of Shevul, the Koros Patim and Orla, that if somebody planted for a siag, I think siag means for a fence, and he just wanted the tree to be considered a fence. The tree is the fence. He didn't care about the fact that it's a fruit tree. It's a nice fence, but he just
Oh,
wanted the fence. Or he wanted it for
Olive.
koros, he wanted it for
Olive.
beams. Pater minha orla. So since pater minha orla, so that's the bottom tree was not a part of him from going to the army.
Oh.
And since and now what? And now you put another branch, and now he's pater. Because the new branch you put in is for fruit. So now he is going to be pater. That's the case of Bakava Seter, that he is pater. But the more is asking, is it bottle or not? It's true that the Skena is already out of Ola. The Yalda is Chayv and Ola. But the lumdis is that when you graft a branch, it loses its identity and it becomes like the bottom one. So if grafting into an old tree loses its identity, and you have no ptor you have no exemption because we don't look at it as you planted anything because it became bottled to the original tree. So if it's a yalso, you shouldn't have a ptor because it loses its identity. It becomes part of the bottom tree, which is a wood tree. It's not for fruit. So the lumdis doesn't make sense. It's true, you got a case, you found the case, but the lumdis should be that here also you should lose its identity. The same way the Gemara said before, Yalda B'Skena is not Orla and you don't get a ptor. So too, Yalda B'Yalda, you also shouldn't get a ptor. The answer is, there's a difference. Hasami Mimlach Allah Labas Mederi, Labas Mederi. An old tree you can't make young. If it's old, it's old. You can't change it. Your decision is not going to help make any difference. So there it's bottle. It loses its identity because the mother tree is a definite thing that can't budge, and it's an old tree. It's not an old tree. So
That's called butler.
that loses its identity. But the bahir, the siag tree, the tree that you made,
He may use it.
he may decide they want to have a fruit. I really planted it for beams, but now I want it for fruit. So that's become chayv and ola. Even though he did not yet decide to make it for food, it's still a wood for wood or for a fence. But since it has the option, has the potential to become chayv and orla, so it doesn't have such a strong bearing that anybody who comes next to it loses its identity. So that new branch does have a reason that it should pater him. Just like the tree grows by itself, nobody planted it. Is it chayv and orla? Is it not orla and chayav and orla? So too, if somebody had a tree which was made for wood, it could become chayv and orla if he would decide he wants it for a tree. The same way if a tree came out of no place, we don't care what it was. We don't care about the history. It came from no place. So this tree, till now, he didn't want it for food. Now he does. The old tree, the bottom tree, the mother tree. So since he could make it for food, it will become chayiv. So too. So that's why he doesn't have such a hold on the ones that are grafted into it to be mevatel them. And therefore, the branch that he grafted into a young tree, which is pater because it was made for wood, that branch does not lose its identity, and it is going to be a ptor from it'll get an exemption from Avrohom Muhammad.
If you have in mind,
That's every 5 trees, then.
Yeah, that's not the point. Whatever we're talking about 5 trees.
if you had in mind that's going to be a fruit.
Even if he didn't. Again, the new branch. Yeah, the new branch is doing it for food. The bottom branch was for wood. And the more said that she loses its identity, it doesn't lose its identity because even though the bottom tree is for wood, but that's temporarily. Right now it is, but it could be subject to change. Since subject to change, it doesn't have a hold on the branch which was grafted, and that is going to be considered its own identity and is made for food and is partisan from Avrohom Muhammad. The Moshe, why are you getting so complicated? But look, became so Citrin, the high day, by day. What is the Moshe Kasha? That if you put a branch into a new tree, you cut it anyway because you planted the first tree. The Gemara says, who says it has to be the same person? It was a young tree within 3 years, and the one who planted that is part of the army, and now somebody else somebody else grafted a branch into that tree, so he gets a p'tur also. You don't take a fancy case. The bottom one was for wood, the fence. A simple case. There was a fruit tree, and Reuven planted the bottom tree within 3 years, and now Shimon comes and puts it in grafts. So he's also part of it because he grafted it. That'd be a nice simple teretz. You don't have to. You have a teretz, but you don't have to say such complicated teretz. Why don't you say it's talking about another person did it? Kem shel shnei shutfin. The high and one had the bottom tree and one planted grafted another branch. And each one goes back. The bottom one goes back because of the bottom tree, and the top one goes back because of the top tree. Isn't that a nice answer?
Okay.
Yes, from one tree, you have 100 guys.
Yeah, each one makes a branch. The fact that the Gemara didn't say this teretz, from here you see that if it's a shutfis, it's not enough, or any kind of thing, a house of shutfin. You go back a house of shutfin. So here you see now a house of shutfin and a camera of shutfin. You don't go back. It has to be exclusively owned, and therefore the Gemara had to give a case of one person that owns both of them, and the bottom one is for wood, top one is for tree. How about if there's one Yavama that's Zakukah to 5 brothers? Somebody died, and now there are a few brothers that are, she's Zakukah to all of them, and over there the halacha is that they all go back from the Ochim Mulchama. Only it's like Shutfin a little bit. The answer is over there it's going to be one of them. We don't know who's it's going to be. But there might be any one of them, but it's going to be one. But here they're shutfim, so they're not. No one's individual, no one's exclusive. Another terrace. We had one terrace again. We're going under still under the terrace, still in the parentheses. We're going under the terrace about a cover setter. The question was how do you get a cover setter? The first terrace was a cover setter was Yalda B'Yalda. Both of them are trees, and Yalda B'Yalda. So it's not butter. The Gemara explain why it's not butter. We're going another possibility to answer that terrace. Of cover setter. Are you allowed to graft a tree into something which is not a tree? Of course, it's not going to be a cucumber. You can't get a tree into a cucumber. But some kind of thing that's not considered a tree, halachically it's considered a vegetable. And if you're grafting a tree into a vegetable, and if you hold that you're allowed to do it. If you hold you're allowed to do it, so I gave you a case. You're looking for a case that it should be a cover setter, and the bottom one doesn't part to you. The bottom one doesn't part to you because it's not a tree. But you're allowed to do it because it's a Yorah. But everybody else is allowed to do it. So according to Allah, it's not a good case because a cover sissa. You're not allowed to put a tree into a vegetable. But if you hold like Rav Shimon Gamliel that says you are allowed to, that'll be a good case that you did our cover, and therefore you go back to it's not the bottom one doesn't part to you because it's not a tree, and you're allowed to do it because they hold you're allowed to do it. You're allowed to do it. I'll cover see on the.
Do we have an example of that?
The Mishnah gives examples. The Mishnah gives examples. I don't remember the case. The Mishnah itself says an example.
What kind of
What kind of a Yorah could you get a Elon into?
This
We're
morning,
given another few days. You're finishing early another few days.
This morning I was carrying a bag of tomatoes and somebody said, "Can I have a tomato? Give me a tomato. I need a tomato. Just use the smallest one you have." Okay, so I gave him a tomato. And he said, "Break breeds." I said, "It's adamah." He said, "It's not a tree. In America, they grow every year." I said, "Maybe because the seeds fall and they grow. It's not a tree." I don't know if it was.
I don't know what to do.
No, it's Tamil
Huh?
His
His father's a Talmud Chacham. It's like a weird case here. He told me who his father was.
It was weird that he asked you for a tomato.
He talked to everybody. Then he saw a boy who was carrying these things, and he asked him about a pasuk and where's the first time it says that word in Chumash. And then later he saw people. He saw an Armenian, and said, "Oh, the Armenians, it wasn't like the Shoah, but I feel really bad for you." And then he went to Denmark, and he said, "Oh, you're from Denmark. You helped the Jews during the Shoah." He was like talking to everybody. Rabbi Yochanan and the Shek. He didn't speak to you. How far did we go? We went
So we
about as
got-
far as we could.
We got until here.
It says low, but 1, 2. Low is the last page.
Thank you. Thank you.
Low. He asked,
Am I wrong? It's not a Mishnah. I thought it was a Mishnah.
Is the next. Are you
Oh,
on
yeah,
page?
the kiosk and-
Huh?
Yeah, what's
No,
that?
no, here, up here. Up here.
Oh. Rabbi Eliezer?
Yes, sir. No, Rav Demi. Kiasa, you see?
Right. This is before.
Let me just see. We ended to the word level, that's all.
Maybe I'm talking about the lion. Maybe I made a mistake, but
About what?
Mr. talks about it. Just stop this.